Welcome to Senior Basketball Analyst. We had a pretty good game between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Cleveland on their home floor against the Bucks. It should be a relatively easy night, and it was. The game started off a little rough for Cleveland. Giannis Antetokounmpo, I got it right on the first try. Yeah, the Greek freak, he's just blossoming before our eyes as a player. And one of the things that a team can run into that's very difficult about dealing with him is he's basically a positionless player. Sometimes he's out at the arc, and sometimes he's driving, sometimes he's shooting long jump shots, sometimes he's in the post. He basically can play anywhere on the floor on the offensive end. So if you switch, a lot of times you can end up with a gross mismatch. And right at the very beginning of the game, Dellavedova got caught in a post against him, and it's you might as well just it's just lunch meat down there. There's nothing that Dellavedova can do. And then he caught the young man, Jay Flight, Jared Cunningham, caught him under the basket or on the block. Drop step. He did a little drop step spin move that he does, dunk, on the whole team. So Giannis is a very difficult player to deal with because as soon as you switch a big man onto him, he's going to blow past the guy. And we already know the guy he has the wingspan that's such that he has a big man's wingspan. So it's not like it's easy for a big guy to recover and chase down, block him. He's just as tall as you for all intents and purposes because of his wingspan. But on the other hand, he's got quickness like a perimeter player. And then if you switch a smaller guard onto him, usually they don't have the post wherewithal to keep him out of the paint. Because again, it's not about physical size; it's about skill set. A guard like Chauncey Billups was, a guard like Tony Allen, he couldn't back him down. But a guy like Matthew Dellavedova, he could back him all the way into the stands if he wanted to, and it wouldn't be anything Dellavedova could do about it. So that was something that they had to deal with. And really, they never really dealt with Antetokounmpo. He just doesn't have the wherewithal yet to like get 50. So he ended up with 33 points on only 15 field goal attempts. He hit all of his free throws. This is what's great about this young man's development. You're seeing the sharpness develop. And frankly, he reminds me a lot of Durant in terms of his physical ability. And if he develops that kind of work ethic, then he's going to be an MVP, is what it's going to turn out because he has all of the natural talent that's necessary to be a great basketball player. But he reminds me a lot of Durant and being a 7 foot tall guy that has actual legitimate perimeter skills, but can also operate in the paint as well because he's so versatile. So it I see why people have been excited about him, but what excites me is the development in his game. And again, going out there, playing that kind of efficient game, being 12-15, and then knocking down all his free throws like that. You watch him play, he makes very good decisions. The only thing that he doesn't have yet is that ability to just take the whole game over. Say, you know what, it's my night. I'm going to go get 50 because it's my night. He just doesn't have that ability. He still has to kind of play within the flow, and you don't see that kind of aggression with him. Jabari Parker looked very good. He looked very good tonight, and he still physically looks like he's carrying some extra weight, but he'll run that off. But he looked very good. He dunked all over Kevin Love in a sideline out of bounds play, and frankly, that kind of thing can't happen. And that was the only thing. That's my knock on Kevin Love. Kevin Love, he will lose concentration, especially on the defensive end, and just let silly things happen. And this was a play, he was guarding Parker, and Parker just kind of made a basket cut on him and just caught the ball and just drove right up his back and just dunked all over him. It was really weird. It was a weird play because it was kind of one of those buster moments for Kevin Love that he really shouldn't have. He's too good a player for that. Kevin Love, dominant performance, 22 points, 15 rebounds. He was great. And I'm going to tell you, I love the Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson front courts. I really like that front court. They make mistakes and there are problems right now with it, but I have high hopes for it. I really do. And I'm going to tell you like this, good luck boxing those guys out. Okay. Good luck with that. These two dudes, they're relentless. And Kevin Love, it's a different style of rebounding, but when you put the Kevin Love, getting and holding position with his tremendous, Kevin Love's one of those guys that's stronger than his physical size. He's already a big guy, but then he's stronger than that, though. He's just a guy that's very difficult to move. It's very easy for him to fend off people trying to push him off of his space and then grab the rebound still. He can kind of hold you here with like put a shoulder on you, hold you still, and then get the rebound. He's very good with things like that. And then on the flip side, Tristan Thompson, just brute force. He's like a boulder bouncing back and forth. If a boulder could just like bounce back and forth, that's what he is. He's just bouncing around the paint. And you got to get bodies on him. Otherwise, he'll get every rebound. So when you have those two guys on the court, Cleveland, it's very difficult for you to rebound against Cleveland when those guys are on the court. And I like that for LeBron James' long-term stamina throughout the course of the season. I don't like LeBron James having to get tough rebounds and be physical with centers. These two guys can protect LeBron in that regard and leave LeBron to do all the other stuff that he has to do throughout the course of a game. LeBron James, pedestrian LeBron James effort. He goes for 27, gets 9 boards, 6 assists. It's a LeBron James night. That's the way that it is for LeBron James, and that's what he has to bring to the table. We had a J.R. Smith game. That was good. J.R. Smith was hitting multiple step backs, heat check threes all night long. It was good to see that. And it's always fun to see a J.R. Smith game, especially on national TV. And he gets up for the national TV games. Everybody knows, hey, we're on TNT tonight. It's time to show out. And J.R. Smith loves that kind of spotlight and that kind of thing. So it was good to see him have a good night. The Milwaukee Bucks are in trouble. They're in trouble. And, I, like a lot of other people, just penciled them in for the playoffs. I just assumed they would be, somewhere between 4 and 8. You just figured they would be. I'm not so sure after watching them. I've watched them 3 or 4 times this year. I'm not so sure anymore. And one of the things, I'm going to tell you, their guards, they're horrendous. They're horrendous. Michael Carter Williams, see, today, most point guards do not run teams. They're not keeping pace. They're not distributing point guards. Most point guards are not like, Mike Conley Jr. for the Memphis Grizzlies, like a lot of the Grizzlies players, is a throwback. He's a guy that determines the pace of the team. He feeds the post. He runs the operation, right? Back in the day, even when your point guard wasn't necessarily that good a player, he was running the operation, right? Michael Carter Williams, he doesn't run the team. But at the same time, he's not that good a scorer either. He really struggles, and it kind of got hidden with the 76ers because the 76ers were so bad, it was difficult to evaluate people. But Michael Carter Williams has always been a low percentage volume scorer. Well, on this team, they're not going to give him 20 field goal attempts. He got 11 field goal attempts tonight, hit 4 of them. That's not good enough. And when you watch him throughout the course of the game, again, he's not getting people into their spots. He's not saying, okay, we're going to run this set on this possession. He's not doing those things. And then at the same time, he's playing poor defense. He's not doing anything really that adds to a winning effort. It's really a serious problem. And Chris Middleton, and I want to say something else too. I wish these announcers would stop checking these guys' pockets during games. I really wish they would stop doing that. First of all, it's not relevant. When Rachel Nichols, who I really like, when Rachel Nichols is doing sideline report, we don't talk about her contract. Why are we talking about Chris Middleton just signed this contract and he's got to live up to blah, blah, blah? Why? It doesn't matter what he's making. Chris Middleton has to play better because they need him to play better to win. It doesn't matter how much money he's making. It doesn't matter. Stop digging in these dudes' pockets. And see, Dan, one of the things I don't like about it is it's not universal. It's only certain players you do that with. It's only certain players. I was talking to a guy about Brooke Lopez, and he goes, well, I mean, as long as Joe Johnson's making 20 million, what's Joe Johnson got to do with this conversation? What is your 34-year? What is the Nets 34-year-old shooting guard have to do with the fact that your franchise center plays every other season? That one has nothing to do with the other. But Joe Johnson's one of those players that the media has conditioned people to check his pockets all the time. I used to, every time I watch Atlanta Hawks game, they would talk about how much money Joe Johnson was making. And I'd be thinking, what's that got to do with anything? And in Chris Middleton's case, the reason I bring it up is just because the Bucks gave him a big contract, or what is perceived as being a big contract, that doesn't change who Chris Middleton is as a player. Chris Middleton is not a great player. He's just not. Maybe he can be, but he's not great yet. So stop doing that. I really wish everybody would just stop doing that. Stop telling me, oh, that's what they paid for when Tristan Thompson gets a rebound. Stop digging into dudes' pockets. Now, Tristan Thompson was out there doing his usual and beasting, doing his usual. Guy rolls out there, man. He played 20 minutes, get a double-double. He's incredibly skilled at hustle. And hustle at the NBA level is a skill. He's incredibly good at it. He's incredibly good at it. But I really wish they would stop doing that, because, again, just because Tristan Thompson, for example, just because they paid Tristan Thompson whatever they paid him, doesn't mean that all of a sudden he has developed new skills. Oh, well, now I guess he can shoot, right? Can he shoot? Oh, no, he can't shoot anymore. If just because they pay Dirk Nowitzki doesn't make him a good defender. Nope, still a terrible defender. Now he's hitting that, man. And by the way, you want to have some fun? Go check Dirk's shot chart this year. Dirk is shooting the lights out of the buildings. I think he's the number one jump shooter in the league. Yeah, I think he's actually more efficient on jump shots than Steph Curry or something like that. It's ridiculous. Whatever it is, it's a ridiculous number. I don't remember exactly what it was, but his percentages are from every section of the court, from every area on the floor. He's way above average. It's amazing how well he's shooting this year. But the Bucks have a very big problem in their backcourt. Their front court, I see why they wanted Greg Monroe so bad. They were like, you know what? If we get Greg Monroe, we have a bona fide back to the basket center we could put out here with Antetokounmpo and Jabari Parker. And then that will give us a front court of the future for us to kind of ride off into the sunset with. But they got to fix this backcourt. They really do. Jared Bayless is a solid, a rock solid combo guard off the bench. OJ Mayo was coming back from injury. Not going to evaluate him after his first game, but they need a starter. They need bona fide starting guards, and right now they don't have it. Chris Middleton is still developing and finding his game. Sometimes you see him do certain things and you say, "Oh wow, I see the potential here." And then other periods of the game, he just goes long stretches where he gets lost. And Michael Carter Williams, I already talked. Michael Carter Williams, for a guy that you would think, because of his athleticism, you'd think he'd be able to finish in the paint. He's really poor at finishing in the paint. He takes bad angles. He doesn't have particularly good touch in the paint. He has his floater is inaccurate, but it's worse than that because he doesn't get to the rim and finish. And for a guy of with his athletic ability, it's very frustrating to watch him not be able to be a threat in a screen roll situation to turn the corner and finish at the rim. He's not a threat. He's not a threat at all because he's such a low percentage player. So The backcourt until the Bucks fix their backcourt, or Middleton and Carter Williams, who are both young guys, they can get better. Until something happens though with that backcourt, this front court of the future is in jeopardy for the Bucks. So with that, I'll wrap it up. The Bucks fell on the Cavaliers' home floor, 100 to 115. Same old, same old. Can't deal with LeBron. Too much LeBron. And frankly, the Cleveland Cavaliers are strong in the exact same ways, or I should say, the exact same positions that the Milwaukee Bucks are strong. But then they also don't, they don't have fake ball handling on their team. They got LeBron James to handle the ball. So the Bucks really need to fix their roster. If you like videos, obviously hit the thumbs up and go to seniorbasketballanalyst.com. That's where all the NBA news is. Follow us on Twitter, SBA4 string. Hashtag is SBA4. You know that.